they see wigs like this, they say, there's George Washington. I'm not George Washington. I'm not even a president. But back when George Washington lived, about the same time, there were composers all over the world, and the fashion statement of the day was to wear a fabulous wig like mine. And as a matter of fact, we see statues of these composers all the time. Just like on Mr. Claver's, my statue's a little smaller. All these composers like Mr. Mozart, Mr. Bach, and Mr. Beethoven, they all wore fancy wigs like mine. Matter of fact, Mr. Mozart sometimes liked to wear a pink wig. He thought that was really cool. But they all wore these really great wigs. And I want to tell you about some of these composers today because, of course, you know I love music. But as much as I love music, I love books even more. And I found some really great books that you can check out right here at our Media Center that you can read about composers. So I want to share them with you today. The first one is about the oldest composer out of these three. This is called Sebastian. It's a book about Mr. Bach. It was written by Jeanette Winter. And it's a really wonderful book with a great story. This is a nonfiction book. You would find it in the nonfiction section of our library. Along with a great story, it's got beautiful pictures in it. So I really enjoy the pictures or the illustrations in this book as well. So let me tell you a little bit about this story and about Mr. Bach. A long time ago, a boy named Sebastian was born into a family of musicians. He heard music everywhere, especially in his own head. Many composers that are really famous, the reason they're such good composers is they can hear a song in their head before they ever play it on the piano or their instrument or write it down. And Mr. Bach heard music in his head, and he wrote down what he heard. Mr. Bach married and had a family and wrote more than 1,000 pieces of music. He also created a little book especially for his wife. Her name was Anna, so that everyone in his family could sit down in the evenings and make music together. Bach's music is heard and played all over the world. Many people think that it is some of the most glorious music ever written. And today, young students like you, or Bach's own children, could learn to play music from Anna's little notebook of music. This book here not only tells you the story of Mr. Bach, but it also has the beautiful illustrations that I showed you. And you also need to check out the end of the story, because in the end of the story, something really cool happens. They tell you how Mr. Bach's music made it all the way into outer space. So if you want to know how Mr. Bach's music got out into the outer space, you will have to check this book out of the library to find out. Now let me tell you about another book here about Mr. Mozart. I have two books about Mozart, and one of them is a Magic Treehouse book. Raise your hand if you've read from the Magic Treehouse book series before. Awesome. I love the Magic Treehouse series. These books are written by Mary Pope Osborne, and they're great fun. My children and I have read most of the books, so thank you very much. This one is called Moonlight on the Magic Flute, and it's all about Mr. Mozart, another one of our famous composers. And in this story, that one can just lay down flat. Thank you. It's all about Mr. Mozart. Annie and Jack in this story travel back in time all the way to the 18th century in a country called Austria, and they are decked out in their craziest outfits yet. Jack gets to wear a wig just like mine and has little short pants on called knickers, and Annie wears all these fancy dresses with lots of bows and ruffles and stuff on it. So it's their best outfits they ever get to wear. Jack and Annie's mission is to find a musician by the name of Mozart and to help him regain his love for music. Their hunt is kind of hampered, it gets in trouble a little bit, by the appearance of a mischievous little boy who is determined to follow them everywhere they go. But when this little boy lets all the animals out of the palace zoo, Jack and Annie have to use the only magic that they have to help save them and this naughty little boy. Do you think Jack and Annie will save the day and complete their challenging mission this time?
Yes.
Well, you'll have to read the book to find out. This story is not only packed with music, but it has some history in it, some mystery in it, and some magic in it. And if you're like me, I love magic. My other book here that's a big chapter book is also about Mr. Mozart in a way. This story is from the Boxcar Children series. Raise your hand if you've ever read from the Boxcar Children. One of you have. Awesome. These books are by Gertrude Chandler Warner, and she wrote a really great series called the Boxcar Children, and it has 4 brothers and sisters in it that live kind of with their uncle, and they solve mysteries everywhere they go. So do you like a good mystery?
Yes.
I love to read about mysteries. Well, the Boxcar Children can't seem to resist a good mystery either. Henry, Jesse, Violet, and Benny were very excited when a famous orchestra came to their little town to play a concert. They were most excited because the orchestra had a special glass box that had a piece of music that was written by Mozart himself with his own pencil writing and everything. But the day after the concert, when they came back to visit the orchestra, something horrible happened. Somebody stole this music. And so Jack and Henry and Jesse and Violet and Benny are trying to find out who stole the music. They were wondering maybe if it was the conductor, or the nervous old lady who was getting people's autographs, or maybe the first violin player, or maybe the grumpy manager. So do you think the children are going to solve the mystery before someone sells the music and it's lost forever?
Yes.
You're going to have to check it out from the library to find out. Now, my last story up here is about Mr. Beethoven. A lot of people thought Mr. Beethoven was crazy, especially this little boy named Christoph. This book is considered a historical fiction story. And in this story, you have, nope, this is Mr. Beethoven. In this story, you have a little bit of true history weaved together with a make-believe story. So 10-year-old Christoph that you see here in the story begins writing letters to his uncle when a madman moves into the extra bedroom in his house. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live with a real composer? Christoph shares his experiences with us through letters and shows us how his feelings for Mr. Beethoven changed from anger and embarrassment to compassion and admiration. He ends up really liking Mr. Beethoven. The book kind of weaves together the true stories of Beethoven's life into these fictional letters that this boy writes to his music-loving uncle. This is a wonderful combination of fiction, history, and music, so it's a really, really cool book. And you can find out more about Mr. Beethoven by checking this book out. As a matter of fact, you can check out all of these composers at our library right here at Buford Elementary School. Thank you very much for coming to visit me today.